Yeah,
Please
I
don't
am
do
sick.
that. Please don't do that. I can't
I
take
am
it
sick.
anymore.
It's not a question of don't getting sick. It's a question of I am sick.
No, please get well. I can't take anymore because I'm going to see my dad, and I can't tell him you weren't feeling well because that's not going to work. Okay, everybody, we're coming up right now. Hey, 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 Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds and Ronnie Patrice and Attorney Linda Bernard. We're going to start with Dr. Zogby, and he's going to give us opening remarks, and then I'm going to let him go because I love him and I want him to get well.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's true. Hey, everybody, we are up in now. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. It's a joy to be with you. As we are, boy, there's so much that is going on. We're waiting for the troops to be deployed in Chicago. But now people are wondering, will they be deployed? Of course, we'll be talking about that as the days come forward because, Chicago is another kind of town. Dr. James, it really is. But I don't know what's going to happen here. And we've been talking about the job losses. We saw white women take a spike in jobs. They got more jobs in this period, more than 100,000. Hispanic women got more jobs. White men got more than 300,000 jobs. Black women lost 300,000 jobs. We were just talking about that. But now let's talk about the 2026 election, which can have tremendous consequences here. People wondering if the right wing is trying to rig the midterms. Well, of course they are. How are they doing it? Well, let's talk about it because the Democrats have been meeting. I'm wondering if there's a plan to thwart that. Attorney Linda Bernard in Detroit, police commissioner there. Ronnie Patrice, a brilliant organizer, Democratic organizer, and Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, one of the runaways. You're always running away, running toward freedom. That's how we put it. But of course, Dr. James Zogby, well, that's how they told me. They said, we're not running away, we're running toward freedom. I said, I like that. Sounded like Reverend Jackson and Dr. James Zogby. Dr. Zogby, help me to understand what are we looking at for these midterms? Because with this gerrymandering that's all over the place, they are targeting Al Green, Jasmine Crockett, Congressman Cleaver out of Missouri. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
there's some people who have some real X's not on their backs, in their faces. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at a crisis, and it's a crisis for our democracy, is what it is. And I will tell you that I have a problem with gerrymandering in the first place, and I don't want to see Democrats react to this by undoing some of the gains in some of the states where we've actually created commissions, bipartisan commissions, to do this in a nonpartisan way, which is ultimately the way to do it. I'm going to say something that's going to maybe be unpopular with some folks, and that is the degree to which Black Caucus and folks lined up with Lee Atwater back decades ago to implement a Republican redistricting program in the South that, yes, doubled the size of the Black Caucus, but at the expense of, that's where you got all those snake-like, spider-like districts throughout the South that gave us a tremendous increase in Black representation. But the price we paid for that was pulling all those Black voters out of other districts that made them pure red districts. And the result was that the Republican numbers increased, I think, 30 seats at the expense of the partisan split in every one of those states. Texas wants to undo some of that, but they're undoing it in a way that will guarantee that they not only get rid of the Black seats, but they get rid of other seats as well, and give them a more decisive majority. Same in Missouri, same in other states where they'll get away with it. What California is doing troubles me in a way, because I'm not sure it's a situation where, I'm going to be an agnostic about it. I understand why they're doing it. I understand they can do it, and they can pick up some of the seats we lose in Texas by picking up, seats in California. But I worry about the extent to which, by playing into that game, we really open the door to further disruption of the democracy by creating these kinds of seats everywhere. I so dislike the fact that 90+% of Congress can't ever lose an election because they're in safe seats, and yet the money flows anyway. We have a crisis in our country about how we elect in the first place, the role of gerrymandering, the role of big money, and now increasingly what Trump is trying to do is create more repressive approaches to voting, one, and two, who can vote and how they can vote, and what Republicans, how they can control the ballot in different states. So yeah, I think we're in for a fight that is more than Democrats versus Republicans, but what's at stake is our very democracy and the gains that we've won over decades of trying to make the vote free, fair, and we're losing the free and we're losing the fair.
And Dr. Zog, because isn't fairness the point? Because I didn't think that we should be. My father says you don't fight fire with fire. He just said this last week, 2 weeks ago. He said you fight fire with water. Okay, you get people registered to vote. You have districts drawn. You have bipartisan commissions who come together, and you know what? We have an agreement. I mean, I feel like we're shredding the social contract. We're being unfair, and we're just running from one party to the next. And I don't like any of it. I don't think the American people are going to win this way, Dr. Zogby.
Not only will we not win, but it doesn't matter who wins. The fabric of bipartisan. Look, I've been in this city for 50 years now, and it has we've never had a bipartisan framework in which Congress and the Senate acted, but it was a hell of a lot better back 50, 40 years ago than it is today. There's virtually no way to talk to these people on the Republican side.
What happened?
They're brain dead ideologues, and I don't. So Democrats win, and Republicans will commit suicide bomber missions to blow up everything they do. Republicans win, and Democrats don't fight fire with fire and end up folding. There's no bipartisan framework at all. I mean, Republicans are carnivores and Democrats serve themselves up to be the meal. And that's how we've been operating. We wouldn't have a Supreme Court like the one we have if Democrats had a better strategic approach to this. And your father is so right. I mean, we don't have, the last time we had a major push at voter registration was in 88.
Oh.
And look at what he did within 84, rather, within 2 years after he did that, we took back the Senate in the very states that he did voter registration in. We won 6 southern states back in the Democratic fold. And then Reagan comes along and undoes it. And we didn't have an approach to win it back. So the Senate is not gerrymandered, but voter registration worked for us there. And it can work elsewhere, but we don't have that kind of. I mean, when the Democratic Party has a 26% favorable rating among voters, you can gerrymander all you want. We can gerrymander back from what the Republicans did. We're not going to win elections if most people don't like us, don't trust us, don't view us as the party they want. We got to give them something to vote for. And that, I mean, look, I saw an article the other day. I'm going to ramble a bit. I'm sick and my brain's a little foggy, but I saw an article the other day about Schumer and Jeffries worrying about saying they're not endorsing Mamdani in New York because they're concerned about winning the 2026 elections and afraid if they endorse him, it'll cost. I mean, he won Jeffries' district. It's not a question. He's giving people excitement and something to vote for. And we need more of that. We don't need to be turning these folks off. We need to be bringing them in. But instead, we're offering them some gray mush that says we're not Trump. And that's good. I love that message. We're not Trump. But I'd rather give them here's what we are. Here's who we are. Here's the excitement we bring to this process. And I tell you, the twist that Representative Ron Reynolds puts on what they did is so important, because it is not about running away. It's about running toward. It's about actually a message of, this is what we stand for, and we will not let you take this from us. That speaks to people when they see decisiveness, when they see, people standing and fighting for something. That's what we've lost.
But Dr. Zogby, one of the things we learned from Mayor Richard Daley was that you never called the name of your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So all this Trump
Yeah.
is against everything that we learned from the political master.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you said about Richard Daley's politics and Reverend was his opponent.
Mm-hmm.
but he learned a lot of lessons from this man. And one was that you don't call the name of your opponent. You are affirmative in your actions, if you will. No, well, pun intended, because I don't mind being affirmative action, baby. I love it. It means I'm qualified. Okay, I love it. But what I'm trying to find out is, what do they want to do? Because what they did to Mamdani, what they did in New York, they're doing it in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
The people make a decision on a candidate that they like, on a proposition they like, embodied by a candidate, and the Democrats throw them overboard.
Yeah,
the Republicans did not like Ron. They did not like this guy. They didn't like Trump.
He's a remarkable young man who has a lot to offer. Omar Fattah? Yeah, he's young, very young, but he's dynamic. He's part of the same kind of Democrat socialist framework that Mamdani is. He's a state legislator. Get into an Uber in Minneapolis, and they literally worship the guy because of the way he fought for them as the drivers in the city. And he's got this reputation of being somebody who fights for the underdog, and he's done it. Walking down the street with him is wonderful. People just, oh, can I talk to you for a minute? Or can I, whatever. They know him, they love him, they trust him. And the mayor is not a bad mayor, but he doesn't have a record to run on. And Omar is being smart. He's not running against them. He knows that his youth, his immigrant status, the fact that he's a person of color, the fact that he fights for working people, creates constituencies for him that he just has to bring together. He doesn't have to go against anybody. He simply has a message. I'm for you. I fight for you. You know that. Stand with me. And they love him. And I think that I would like to see more people going to Minneapolis to support him. And I'm disappointed actually that they're not. I'm glad people are, flocking to support Mamdani, but I'd like people to also pay some attention to Omar Fattah, because the party dealt him a raw deal. He got the endorsement in the Minneapolis caucuses, and the state party came in and said they rescind the endorsement because it wasn't a clean process. Ever been to caucuses? They're never a clean process. But the loser always cries foul. And it wasn't. It was a well-done operation. He won decisively. But the mayor went to the state party establishment and they took it away. I was going to make a point about Daley. Daley fractured the city black and white. He did. And his successors did the same. I remember talking to Harold Washington in '85. And, he was coming to an Arab event. He said, I never forgot this. He said, people look at Chicago black and white. He said, I don't. I see it with a lot of brown, a lot of tan, a lot of gray. And he said, there's a lot of different groups in this city, and all they want to do is be recognized and have you call their name. That the lesson I learned from that is something that Democrats need to pay attention to. You've got all these, who talks to the Somalis? Who talks to the Ethiopians? Who talks to the Nigerians? Who talks to the Haitians? Who talks to all of the new people coming into the country? And who talks to the older folks who are in the country? When's the last time you heard a politician from any party say something about, I want to tell you about Italian Americans or about Irish Americans, or, the issue of recognizing all these groups, new and old Bosnians, the Karen who've come from Burma, and making them feel at home. That's the way to win them over. We don't do that. And I'll tell you one story, and then I'm gonna get off. stuck with me. 84, I went to the Italian American Foundation dinner, and Reagan and Mondale were there. And Mondale got up and he gave a talk that was, and I'm for the teachers, and I'm for this, and I'm for that. And it was a perfectly fine liberal speech. The only applause line he got was when he said the name Geraldine Ferraro. And he got 7 applause lines whenever he said her name. Reagan got up, pause, started. My grandmother, like yours, came to this country with nothing but her hopes and dreams. And she worked her fingers to the bones in the hope that someday she would realize it. I stand before you as the beneficiary of her hard work and the inheritor of her dreams. There wasn't a dry eye in the room, and it actually reminded me of speeches that your father would give. Mm-hmm. He talked to people's sense of self, of who they were. He didn't talk at them. He talked to them in a way that spoke about, this is what you want for your life. This is who you are. And I understand that. We've lost that. Clinton had it. To some extent, Obama had it. But too many of our party people don't have it, They look at it like it's a game of ideas, or a game of who can be the nastiest to the other guy. Mm. But who can make people feel inspired? Who can make people feel he knows me or she knows me and cares about me? And that's kind of what we've lost. So yeah, I mean, the gerrymandering is one thing, but we can bitch and moan that it's not fair. But the question is, what are we doing to mobilize our base in a real way and give them a sense of that we know who they are, we care about them, we want their votes, and we want to earn their votes. We don't do it. But Ron, again, thank you so much for what you guys did, because that was inspirational to a lot of people. And keep it up. Keep it up.
Well, you keep it up, Dr. James. I'm going to let you go. Want you to be well. Thank you for always, for taking us on these, really helping us to get back to front, because we really need to understand where we've been, which helps us to understand where we are and where we need to go. Mm-hmm. Because I have to tell you right now, I see 2 people who have excited a lot of people who are disaffected with the party. And I see in New York, they're trying to co-opt Mamdani, but they're trying to bury, is it Fateh?
Yeah.
In Minneapolis. And I just think it's awful, because they are the future. Mm-hmm. And that's just it. And I don't understand why there's even a thought of can't endorse them. I don't understand that. I know I understand it, because different lobbies are opposed to Mamdani and to Fateh, but I just think that's a terrible thing. We're going to pay for that. We are. Well, Dr. Zogby, is there anything you'd like to say before you go?
No, I thank you very much, and I'm sorry about the throat and the coughing and stuff. But
you are brilliant. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Take care.
You much love.
Bye-bye.
Dr. James Zogby, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness, sending you much
love.
love.
And Linda, sorry I can't stay, but thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Well, you got things started. You got it framed for us, so we're sending you much love. Thank you.
Bye.
And well, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, he really kind of took us back to how we got here. So as we're looking at the right wing, and they are on the march, and they never stop, Ron. They never, ever, ever, ever stop. Help me to understand what is it that we're looking at, because it is very clear. We've talked to David Daley. We've had him on the show multiple times. I've had you on with him. There is a plan they have a plan to win. And I see 2 of the most exciting people we've seen in American politics in a long time, in Minneapolis and in New York, and the Democrats are rejecting them. And that is just the craziest thing. You got the country excited by running for freedom, by making that break. While you're away, you're trying to figure out, oh my goodness, how am I going to feed my family? Because you all make $600 a month. You have jobs. I said, wait a minute, why didn't the Democratic Party take this off the table for them? I mean, do what you need to do, and we've got you. That's why. That's why. Oh my goodness. I get Beto was raising money. He was trying to take this off of the table for you, and I'm just trying to figure out what is going on, and will the Democrats really understand? Will they get it, Ron? Talk to me. What do you see?
Well, first of all, it's great to be on with you. I want to say Dr. Zogby, he set the tone, and I agree with his remarks. And certainly I'm praying for his speedy recovery
Absolutely.
as he recovers from his illness. But he's absolutely right. And I would say I want to agree with something he said. I was definitely waiting for my turn, but I think it's a big mistake that Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer are making by not endorsing a sitting Democrat who won the primary, who won overwhelmingly, who is refreshing, who is exciting the base of the party that has needed something to cheer on. I can't make it make sense. This is, you happen to have the leader, Jeffries, who is from that area, New
No,
York.
it's his district.
It's his district.
And this
It's
guy
part of
won his
district.
district.
You know, I mean, I'm not being critical. I'm just being transparent. I'm just being honest. This doesn't make sense to me. Leader Schumer, this is your home state, right? I mean, you shouldn't have to have people from and around the country saying, "What the hell is wrong with you?" You know, if anybody should be cheering for them, it should be you, because you represent those areas where those people voted for them. You're the leader of the party, for crying out loud. And when you have other folks that have a progressive voice, like AOC, who was a champion for him, it does make you look weaker, right?
Mhm.
And you have other champions that are calling for it, including recently ousted David Hogg, who was called them out for not endorsing them. And it just makes you wonder, like, how establishment are you when you're not listening to the rank and file base of the party that you represent, that you're the leader of right now? These two are actually the leaders of the Democratic Party right now, whether you like it or not, because there is no Democratic president or vice president. These are the leaders. They're the closest thing we have to a person that has a leadership role in a bully pulpit. And so it doesn't make sense. It is why some people are very apathetic about the party. And it is why many grassroots and many activists are frustrated and willing to sit out elections because they don't feel that the Democrat Party is listening to them. And so I think that's a big mistake. And I think he is going to win. And to make matters worse, he's coming under tremendous attack from President Trump, who is meddling in the affairs of the mayoral race and saying he'll pull funds and things like that. This comes on the heels of a disaster of Eric Adams and corruption and things that he's done. So I think this is a big mistake, a colossal mistake that they will regret. And I think that he will owe no allegiance to them once he wins mayor, because I do believe that the energy is there. They're not going to be able to stop him. The momentum is just growing. The energy is just growing. And he will be the next mayor of New York City. So, and it's going to make him even more stronger and more independent, because he will have done it without their support. He's showing he doesn't need their support.
But what Obama's doing, that, which is very smart, he's draping himself around him, although his politics are not like his politics at all.
They're not. You're absolutely right.
But what he's doing is, it's like he's associating himself with him, right? So, and he's absolute establishment. I'm not mad at him. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I get it. I'm just saying that people are still looking for something else.
They're looking for some. People are hungry. Santita, one thing I learned, and
Literally,
Dr. Zogby, he referenced this about what the Democrats did, and I thank you for giving us a platform while we were there in Chicago and beyond. But one of the things that I learned and experience from that quorum break was that people are hungry for fighters. People are hungry for democratic leadership. And one of the consistent messages I heard was, where's the democratic leadership? No one's fighting. Hakeem Jeffries isn't really fighting. Leader Schumer isn't fighting. They're just going along to get along. They don't show any will to push back against President Trump and others. So people are hungry for leadership right now. They're really hungry for it. And my fear is that if we don't lean into the moment and support these transformational candidates like we have in New York, then we're gonna lose a lot of that to, I would say, third parties and things like that. They're gonna move away from the Democratic Party. They already are. The polling is not great for the Democratic Party. The brand is suffering. And so we need that type of energy to help revitalize it. This should be embraced. This is something that could be helpful, very helpful in the midterm election, to have someone who's reaching people that have set out this last election and didn't go vote for Kamala Harris. So yes, we need this, and we need it now to match the energy that President Trump has brought to the MAGA base. And so I'm hopeful that Democrats will tune out the noise and start to listen to where the energy is and embrace it and bring them into the tent instead of try to put them on the outside. That is, to me, is a big mistake.
Well, we're talking with Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds about, really, as you're talking, I could hear, as I bring up Attorney Linda Bernard, the Democrats could be snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. I mean, but maybe we're beginning to see who everybody really is, Representative Reynolds. Because what they're not doing, they're not speaking to the needs of the people. They're speaking to the donor class, or speaking for them. Because Mamdani has given answers to questions that have unsettled a good many people. But I promise you, he is where the American public are. He certainly is where the young people are. And so is Mr. Fateh up in Minneapolis. They are, no, they don't, we don't care about the labels. We need the deliverables. I've been talking about this story that just struck me on Friday night on CNN. I was watching Aaron Burnett's show, and they had people who have these white women. You can see that they are working class, and they have videos that have gone viral because they show you how to make it on as little as $1 a day. I said, now this is where we are. And if white people are there, it is hard for everybody, because that's the way the society works. So I'm just trying to find out from you, what is on Democrats' mind? I mean, when you are in these caucuses, because you're in leadership, you are in leadership in Texas. This is one of the most, California and Texas, are there more populous states? No. So what are they saying? I mean, they have completely moved away from what people want, Representative Reynolds.
Honestly, Santita, I think that they are living in a bubble, and they need to come out of that bubble. They're listening to talking heads and donors, and not to rank and file people that will determine whether or not we win or lose in the midterms and beyond. They're not going into the communities. They're not going into the colleges' campuses. They're not listening to the barbershop talk. and the talk at the grocery store. And that's the problem. And they're listening to paid consultants that are only trying to pad their bank accounts with more revenue from these same donors. And so they're not listening. And that is part of the problem. In order to be effective in governance, you have to listen and you have to take the facts wherever they lead you, right? You can't just choose alternative universes that you want to hear. You have to go with where it is, and this is where it is. So whether they try to do everything they could to stop him, similar to what they've done to try to shut out Bernie Sanders, similar to what they've done to try to shut out Jasmine Crockett, similar to what they've done to try to shut out Congresswoman AOC. They have such tremendous platforms. They have such a powerful message about the issues that working families care about: affordable housing, livable wages, expanding access to healthcare and free college tuition, some criminal justice reform. They have the pulse on the people that are we need to win these elections. And so this is a real opportunity where people should rise to and meet the moment. But to me, they're missing the mark. They're missing the mark, and they're trying to play it safe with the donor class. These are the same people that refuse to talk about the Gaza and the Palestinian conflict. They were afraid to call out anything because they were afraid of the donors. And to me, they missed the mark. And that helped suppress the vote, because many people felt disenchanted and they didn't feel that they wanted to go and vote, because they didn't see much difference between the two. And we're suffering from it right now. So I do believe that real leadership calls for a real autopsy in terms of where we went wrong. My concern as I'm in these rooms is that some of the same people are now repeating some of the same mistakes. And the definition of insanity, as we know from Einstein, is to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. I'm very concerned that it's going to be more of the same. And what do I mean by that? Oh, let's just run anti-Trump. That's not the winning message. You have to give people something to vote for, not something just to vote against. And so if your winning message is, well, Trump is bad, we're good, we've seen that before. We've seen that. And how well did that work out? And so my message as I'm in these rooms is, where are we reaching out? What are we doing differently than we did this last time? Because I'm seeing a repeat. I'm seeing this same failed playbook be reintroduced. So Santita, I'm not, gonna, laugh when it's not funny and scratch where it don't itch. I'm gonna call out, even with my own party, the failed leadership. And unfortunately, right now, I'm seeing a lot of it. And there's so many missed opportunities because people are suffering right now. People are hurting. If they meet the moment and talk about the issues where they are and how they're going to solve them, and they're reaching out, working with real people at the grassroots level, then this is a tremendous opportunity to seize the moment, capitalize on it, build momentum and energy as we go into these midterm elections. But if we think we're going to go into it with this rhetoric of, well, we're not Trump, we're the good ones, we're the nice ones, we're not the ones with the convictions, that people are like, okay, and so that's why I say we need the Mamdanis. We need them to help speak to those people that have felt left behind, and we need to embrace it. And I think that's where you see leaders Schumer and Jeffries missing the mark right now.
Missing the mark, and they missing votes.
Yes.
They're missing votes. I was getting a little bit of sound from you, Linda. I just wanted to make sure we were in the right place. Attorney Linda Bernard.
Hi, everyone. And I want to first of all, indicate how exciting it was for me to hear from Dr. Zogby. I remember him being involved with your dad's campaign and so forth years ago, and I hadn't heard from him or seen him in years. I'm excited, excited, excited beyond what he revealed to you today in this broadcast and for our audience here today. One, to say that that what's that what's important, of course, is to get people from all backgrounds and so forth involved in your campaign, in a campaign, and how significant that is. When he said that your father had registered voters from all backgrounds, and how to fight what's happening now through voter registration, through getting more voters as opposed to just trying to deal with the same old folks and the same old messages. The his comments were invigorating, especially when he said that 90% of Congress was guaranteed reelection because of the current system, and we're unwilling to address that system. But I also think that the reason that the Democrats are having so much trouble is they can't define what a Democrat is anymore, because a lot of it has been, if you will, sort of taken over or mimicked by the Republicans, i.e., especially with the working class and with unions and stuff like that. And you can't define it anymore because the left went so far afield that nobody recognized them anymore. So much gay stuff, so much transgender stuff, so much, all this stuff, all this, anti-God, anti-Christ, all this kind of stuff. It really has turned off Americans. That's not what Americans are. America is a Judeo-Christian society, period. And those things that are against the Ten Commandments are things that most Americans find offensive. Now, with respect to Mondavi, he's a very impressive young man. I agree with that. And at least he has got the media's attention, which is most important. I mean, they are beating his drum harder than anybody else, in my opinion, because we are Americans. The whole notion of being communist or socialist is anti-American. And when he ran, not as an independent, but as a member of the Democratic Socialist Party, that was strike big, heavy duty. Triple strike won against him in terms of terms of Democrats and in terms of Black people, I think, in general.
But hold on, but wait, because he ran, because that's AOC, and that's Bernie Sanders, and that is a lot of the agenda that was the Great Society agenda. And
I'm not disagreeing.
No,
but it wasn't Democratic Socialist.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's another.
Yeah, that's the reason, Santita. That is the reason you get so much pushback from the Democratic Party, and why you get so much pushback from minorities in this country.
He's getting pushback about. I think he's getting pushback about Gaza. I lived in New York for 15. About 15 years.
Most of America agrees about Gaza. I mean, does not agree that we should do something about Gaza and stop what Netanyahu is doing. He is a war criminal.
Linda, hold on, one person at a time. We can talk with each other. What I'm saying is, he was asked a question, Attorney Bernard and Representative Reynolds, in the big debate that candidates, Republican and Democrat, are always asked. When will you go? When will you go to Israel? And he said, first, I'm going to go to the United States. I'm going to the Bronx. I'm going to Brooklyn. I'm going to Staten Island. I'm going to go through Manhattan. I'm going to go through Queens. When he did that became a problem. Trust me. And because the donor class in American politics still holds tremendous sway. I think Representative Reynolds knows this as well as anyone, because he holds elective office. And
we both do. I'm in a Democratic city, in a Democratic state.
And what I'm saying is, that is the pushback that he's getting, and everybody knows it. That's the pushback that Omar is. I'm telling you that he's getting, because we have another young man who won in Minneapolis, and he won by a decisive margin. And
Santita, I'm in a Black city. Let me talk for a minute.
I
for
understand,
one
but
second.
let me wait a minute. Let me finish this.
A Democratic black city,
I listen. You listen.
88%.
Wait, Linda, don't do that. I told you let us talk with each other, and let me finish making
I'm
the
trying
point.
to talk. I haven't been able to talk.
I'm no. Let me let me finish the point. When the New York Times was describing Omar Fateh, who was a state elected official in Minneapolis, they said first he's Muslim, and they described him as pro-Palestinian, and they tried to imply, and you were supposed to infer that he was anti-Israel, which was not true. He's not anti-Israel. They did the same thing with Mamdani. I know because I was reading the papers and I'm talking to my friends who still live in New York. And that's the pushback that he's getting. It is. He's getting it on that basis. People don't care about him being a democratic socialist. They don't care about these labels. In New York, they really don't care. Because people are really hungry up there. When he said you can get on the bus, when it became clear that it looked like he could win, people start the last few weeks of 3 or 4 weeks of his campaign, you saw a tremendous surge in support because they saw the possibility. We saw that happen with Reverend when he ran. When people thought that it was possible, the people who actually liked him but stood on the sidelines because they were afraid that he wouldn't win, when they thought that he could, they rushed to support him, and that's how he became the nominee. And the same thing happened in Minneapolis.
I don't doubt that. My point is the natural bias that exists when you say, quote, democratic socialist, and the fact that the Democratic Party, as we know, has no leader and no agenda. That's the problem for Mamdani. And in the end, when the heavy money really hits the metal in this case, and you're getting ad after ad after ad, radio after radio ad after radio ad, TV ad after TV ad, and all this kind of stuff, I don't think you can make that cut. And let me tell you why. Because even in Michigan, we have a white mayor in a black city who's been elected 3 times overwhelmingly, who's done enormous things in the city of Detroit. And guess what? He is now running for governor, but he's been a Democrat his entire life. But guess what? Now he's running as an independent. Even he, as popular as he is, as a white Caucasian male Catholic, had better sense than to try to run as a democratic socialist. He's running as an independent, and he has a damn good chance of becoming Democrat.
I'm familiar with your
a governor.
But he's not a democratic socialist. Mamdani and Fateh are. And what I'm saying to you is, and so is Bernie Sanders, and still the most popular elected official in the United States is Bernie Sanders. People don't care about that. I've got nieces, nephews, godchildren, and young people who I talk to. They don't care about these labels. They are not frightened of being called. They're not socialist, democratic socialist. That is a very real thing. And people don't. I mean, help me, Representative Reynolds. I don't think that's something that people are pushing back on. That
it's not in the Midwest and it's not in Texas. Yeah. A democratic socialist, I don't believe, can win in Texas, and they can't win in Michigan.
That's not where he's running.
They can win in Cali. They can win in New York.
And you know, and increasingly they're
going to but not Minnesota.
Increasingly, no, you don't know that because he won overwhelmingly the Democratic nomination in Minnesota.
A primary and a general election are two totally different things.
No, they're tantamount to winning the election. Okay. I'm not saying that he doesn't have I'm not saying he doesn't have an uphill climb, because you're going to have people coming after him. That having been said, the Democrats pushed Bernie out. Not being a democratic socialist, people didn't care about that. People liked his program, and then they said, I'm with you. It was when Obama and the top people in the party made phone calls and told people to stand down on their support for him and to leave the campaign. That is what undermined Bernie.
Well, I voted for Bernie Sanders. I liked him at the time. But even back then, before we had all this mass media and all this kind of stuff that we're doing now, Bernie didn't have a prayer. And that was clear. I think he carried Michigan. I'm not sure. I don't think he did. Your father carried Michigan. But back to the point. Today, with the polarization that's happened in our country as a result of a number of different factors, so many things that the Democrats did that were so foul, quite frankly, overall, just have created this major schism. And that's why the man that Jamie Dimon the chairman of the board of the largest bank in the world, spent 15 minutes talking about on 60 Minutes. I watched it with my own eyes. Was Mike Duggan, our mayor, how talented he was, how great he was, how great Detroit was, etc. And I can tell you for a fact that that they like people who get things done, but who don't make all that noise that quote Democratic Socialists do and everyone else. They don't like that. And so I can tell you for a fact. And then let me finish. Let me tell you something. And even though, let me just say this. Ocasio-Cortez said that Jamie Dimon was coming.
Wait a minute, stop. Now hold on. I'm interviewing you. Let's just stop it. Now there's something called
etiquette. You got it, Santita. We'll go along with it.
There's something called etiquette here. When I hear you're compelling. If I have a question for you, let me ask you.
Fine.
You don't just roll over me here. That's not how this works. The reason I brought you on here is because I think that you are compelling. You have a lot to say, even though I take some heat for having you here. I don't care about that. I think that you have a voice that needs to be heard. But I can't let you just roll over me. And when you say something interesting, you have to let the interviewer.
Well, let me apologize if you felt I was rolling over you. That's not my intent.
You have to give me the space to say, hey, wait a minute. You just said something. I need to amplify it or explain it. That's how you get back on radio and television.
Hey, not a problem.
And you should. So that's all I'm trying to say to you. So when you say something, I'm trying to say, wait a minute, hold on, you just said something. Can you amplify it? I'm not trying to shut you down. If I felt that way, I wouldn't have invited you on. That's not what I'm doing. So I'm just trying to say to you, people accused FDR of being a socialist because his programs, in fact, were. I mean, Social Security is a socialist program. Medicare and Medicare, that's a socialist program. It is what it is. People don't, and our best friends, the British, they're socialists. They are. They're just not socialist at the top. But at the bottom, yeah, because the top owns everything. And I'm simply saying to you, I don't think, and Ron, you can jump in here. I'm not saying he didn't run it. These people didn't run in Detroit or Michigan. They ran in Minneapolis and they ran in New York. And I'm saying to you, when I listen to the frustration of young people from 2024, they're frustrated. The Democrats are polling lower than they ever have. The Republicans are polling a little higher, but people are sick of both major parties.
Right.
They're tired of them both. Ain't nobody winning here. The major parties are not winning, Linda. They're not. People are like, I'm sick of all of you. You got white women who are being featured on CNN who are trying to show other people how to make it on $1 a day in America. Wow. People are sick of that. And they're in rural America where it is cheaper to live. So you can imagine what everybody else is going through. You don't even have to imagine it. We're seeing it. We're just not living it. Why did that strike a chord with you, Representative Reynolds?
Well, I think that, first of all, I want Linda to know I do always appreciate, as you do, Santita, hearing views that are not like mine. I think it's good to hear dissenting views because it makes for good dialogue. And I learn from listening to people sometimes I don't agree with. If I listen to the people I agree with all the time, then I may not be in the right room, or they agree with me. All like, wait a minute. Yeah. So I take no offense to that. But I want to say that I do believe that you're absolutely right, Santita, when you talk about the socialist aspect. Sometimes when people hear the word and they don't understand, they automatically think of something sinister. But when you think about, like you said, socialized medicine, you think about Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. Those are all part of what you would consider, programs that socialists would support. So I think that the ideas that are in the policies that are articulated from, Senator Bernie Sanders and others similar situated are very, very popular. And Santita, you're right. Until he was basically, I would say, sabotaged and attacked, his campaign was on fire. But with a lot of young people. I mean, it was amazing to me to see so many young people across this country. I saw it in Texas. Linda, you talked about Texas. I saw Senator Bernie Sanders in Texas, and I saw young people that did not come out to other people's rallies. They came out to hear Senator Bernie Sanders. It was amazing to see so many young people of different races. It was very diverse, and his message resonated. So I do believe that he would and could win in a state like Texas and other states, because a lot of the people that you would need to turn out aren't just the traditional Democrat voters. These are some low propensity voters that he got off of their couch, away from the ebbs and flows of life, to go cast a ballot, to caucus. It was amazing. I witnessed it myself. And I wasn't a Bernie Sanders person at the time. I'm telling you, I was like, wow, I was moved. And it changed my perspective on Senator Bernie Sanders. So I want to say that there is significant room. And in order for Democrats to really effectively harness a winning message, we need to incorporate that into our platform. People like Bernie Sanders, people like, what I'm calling a transformational figure in New York, and others across this country. The other rallies are very, much anemic and very dead in terms of the energy. But when they come, they're packing out, and these people will wait in line to hear them. They'll wait in line to go and hear what they have to say. They will go to the polls. They wouldn't have a crowd for Hakeem Jeffries if he came to Houston. We couldn't pay a crowd to go see him. It would be a bunch of politicos. It would not be a bunch of young people that were willing to sit out and hear the message. Same thing for Chuck Schumer. That's no disrespect to them. They're just not appealing to the same people that we need in order to win. So, Santita,
they're not speaking to their hopes and dreams.
What I'm telling you is that if we aren't careful, we as Democrats, I'm a Democrat. I'm a part of that we. I'm not saying they. I'm saying we. If we're not careful, we will be relegated to irrelevancy and in a minority party status for the next decade, if we don't change course and start embracing this new energy that is missing. It's missing right now. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to act like it doesn't exist, because it's real. And I want to win, and I want to bring those perspectives and that energy to the table. And I think that they have a place, and they should have a seat at the head. There was another young man I met in Houston last week. He's out of Pennsylvania, Malcolm Kenyatta. Have you heard of him? Santita, another refreshing young man, a great voice, talking about these issues. He's one of the new vice chairs of the Democratic DNC. They need to have more people like him. He's openly gay. He has a great perspective on things. He aligns with more of the Mamdani, and he brought such appeal, and his message resonated. So I'm going to keep preaching that. When I go to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, Santita, I'm going to be talking about that. When I'm in these rooms, others aren't saying it. I'm bringing it up. So it won't be that it wasn't said, it wasn't discussed, because unfortunately, they're talking about the same playbook that we've heard in the past. I don't see anything different. I don't see any fresh ideas. And I'm saying enough, y'all. Did y'all not forget what we just experienced? They just think, well, look at Trump, people are not happy, so they're just going to come back to us. Well, what are you offering? What are you bringing to the table? How is this any different than the last message you ran on? So, Santita, I'm not going for the okie doke. I don't care if I'm the lone dissenting voice in the room. They may say, well, we don't want you to be vice chair anymore. So what? I don't care about titles. I'm going to speak truth to power. Just like I speak it when it's President Trump or someone else I don't agree with, I'm speaking it when it comes to Democrats who are not meeting the moment and listening to where I think that the overwhelming majority of the sentiment is. They are tone deaf, they're out of touch, and to me, that is a recipe for disaster and failure.
Linda, we only have a few minutes left here. A couple of minutes for you.
Oh, I don't disagree with what Ron has just said in general. But the bottom line is, if you look at the facts, I just looked it up while you were talking about Bernie Sanders. He did speak in Texas. He spoke actually Texas Southern University. He raised the money down there, but he didn't carry the votes anywhere. That's my point. My point is that the term socialist uh, is a malignancy, in my opinion, for Democratic candidates. Because when Americans think of socialism, they think of communism. That's unfortunate. Everyone knows that Social Security and Medicare and all that stuff were socialist policies. That we've heard that for 50 years. But the bottom line is that it doesn't carry voters. It is more powerful, in my opinion, had he run as an independent, just like my mayor is doing, and that he will probably win as governor and be the first independent in a Democratic state, and be the first independent governor in the history of the state. You're right. The term Democrat is toxic. In large measure, the term Republican can also be viewed as toxic, but not to the same level. It's like 2-to-1 with respect to Democrats versus Republicans. So, with that being said, I admire both gentlemen in both Minneapolis, obviously, and in New York. I find them charming, delightful, handsome, everything. But that's not the point. The bottom line is that I do not think America, I don't think Michigan would vote for a quote socialist Democrat for governor. I know they wouldn't, quite frankly, and I don't think that the state. I don't think New Yorkers are either. I think what you see now is quote much ado about nothing. He's a great guy. He's exciting and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think it's not going to play out in the end. It will fizzle to the end because one, it won't get the financial support that he needs. So that's, and as you pointed out, or both of you pointed out, how the importance of donors, but is it
No. I wasn't saying that about
no,
donors. What I
no,
said
no,
was,
but both of you point out the importance of donors, I'm saying. And I'll
that's
tell you
what
that I'm
you're
a
saying.
student of Coleman Alexander Young, the first Black mayor in the city of Detroit. And he said, quote, money is the lifeblood of politics, end quote. And I would tease him when I go to a fundraiser. I say, there's no food here, no liquor. He said, Linda, it is a fundraiser, not a feast. So you got to get it straight. Money is the lifeblood of politics, and I don't see it happening. It's going to come. You've got AOC, and they seem to be very close. They're a lovely couple, lovely people, smart people. I got that part. But it's not going to be enough to overcome middle class Black America, middle class white America, and upper class everybody. So it is what I think. That's just my opinion.
Well, no, and it matters. I'm just saying that middle class Black America is fading. And it's fading when you see 319,000 Black women lose their jobs with more to come. Let me just say this. This middle class we've had, because these are our top wage earners. They lost their jobs. And these jobs that they had are not coming back. And so we're going to have a rethink. When I talk to young people, they have a different view of Democrats and Republicans and all of the labels. They want results, period. They were turned off by Democrats and Republicans. President Trump got a lot of support in 2016. People toggled between him and the Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders. The Republicans jumped behind Donald Trump. And the Democrats tore down Bernie Sanders. If Bernie had gotten the support that the Republicans, from the Democrats, that the Republicans gave to Donald Trump, I think it might be a different country. But it's two wings of the same bird. And it's a corporatist bird, and it's hurting us all. So that's my thought as I'm talking to these young people. They don't have the same hangups about these labels that we have had. They just don't have them because they don't think they're going to get Social Security anyway. They see that Medicare and Medicaid have been shredded. They can't afford to go to college. My nephew told me that, well, his mother, my brother's wife, said the great gift your father and I gave each of you was to come out of college with no debt. That's tragic that that's a gift in 2025, but that's real. And they went to the best schools, always. But the fact is, their parents made the investment. And so now the money they make is money that they get free and clear. For most Americans, that is not true. So and they're looking for another deal because they see that this is unfair. So I'm just saying, I think, and Linda, Ethelene thinks that I gave you a raw deal. I don't. But there are rules of engagement here, Ethelene. There are. And so what I cannot allow is to have anybody over talking everybody. That ain't going to work here. I invite people here because I want other people. She might be outnumbered, but her view is outnumbered. But the fact is she has a view that does matter because enough people have it. That's why she gets invited. And I think that's why you come back, even though you disagree with some things that are said here. Maybe the most things that are said. I don't know. But that's what this is. There's a way that you engage here. And I'm going to hold everybody to that. And, the way most of the shows that kind of go like this, people, I would be sitting up here talking to you for about 52 minutes by myself, but that's not what I choose to do. What I choose to do is bring on Ron Reynolds and Linda Bernard and Jim Zogby and Rania Patrice and Ariel Gold and all of these people because they are voices who you do not hear. That's what I choose to do with my platform. That's why I'm doing it. So you're going to hear more Republicans on my platform too, because I think everybody needs to be heard. And we can get into it. But you ought to know by now, Ethelene, I'm not someone to be rolled over. And neither is Attorney Bernard. She's one of the most brilliant lawyers that exists. But there's a way that we engage each other here so that everybody can be heard. That's all I'm saying. And she will be back. And when I reach out to her and she has time, she always comes back because she's home here. Even though some of you wonder why I have her. Well, I have everybody who will come here because I think that everybody deserves to be heard. And that's it. All right, everybody, I'm sending you much love. It has been a wonderfully invigorating moment that we've had here on the Santita Jackson Show. May God bless each and every one of you. I love you, Linda. I love you, Ron. I love
you back.
All of you here. And thank you for giving a shout out to my Auntie Maxine yesterday.
Yes, she said, "Oh, that's my niece. I love her."
Did you tell her that I said she's my Auntie Maxine?
I did. I sure did. I did.
Because I love her. She is my Auntie Maxine for real, for real. How about that part? AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, the Santita Jackson Show.